Ryan Bauer, who joins us now from rotogrinders.com with the Bauer Power Plays for Week 17. Ryan, Happy New Year. How are you, man?
I'm doing great, guys. Happy New Year to you as well. I'm glad I'm spending New Year's Day with you guys here at Sirius XM.
Oh, you couldn't have imagined a better way to spend it, I'm sure. Hey, let me ask you, when you look back at your picks in Week 16, how would you say you did in Week 16?
I would say average. Very average. It was a very funky week. I would say probably average, maybe a little above average. I had some big guys in there: Allen Robinson, Blake Bortles, D'Angelo Williams, David Johnson. And that Big Ben guy didn't have a touchdown.
Pittsburgh's passing game killed us all last week.
Yeah, I had Martavis Bryant. I think he had one catch and one run. I think he had about a total of 10 yards last week.
Yeah.
So I would say very average, but a very odd week. Cam Newton, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Big Ben combined for 3 total touchdowns.
I think, for me, the thing that you missed on more were the guys you were avoiding last week, and it made logical sense, Julio going up against Josh Norman, but then Julio did Julio, and so it goes. So let's focus now on Week 17 as we wrap up the regular season here. Ryan Bauer, you can read his weekly blog at rotogrinders.com. Let's start off with, which game are you stacking this week, or which team, if you really want to take advantage of a particular matchup? Who do you like?
Okay, well, I got 2 games that I have a lot of guys from. That is the Eagles and Giants game, and then the Atlanta Falcons and Saints game. Those are both the 2 highest for Vegas. Both teams, they're kind of out of the picture, both of them, so no one's resting started. They're all going to play. So, we'll jump right into it. My mid-tier play at quarterback this week is Eli Manning. He's got 9 touchdowns the last 3 weeks, gets OBJ back, playing the Eagles. And my value play in that game as well is Sam Bradford. It's just a super high game. Giants are getting the 3rd most fantasy points to QBs. And Vegas has a total at 52. And I think the loser of this game has to go to London next year. I think this is the correct game.
It is the game. You're right about that. It's based on who the opponent is and where they finish in the standings. You're right. Maurice, would that be an incentive to a player? Seriously, if you win this game and you are part of the franchise that you knew was coming back next year, how much would it matter you to try to avoid a trip to London, or would it factor in? Would some guys say, hey, I'd like to go to London on the team's dime?
Yeah, I think it really doesn't matter. I think more for personnel, people such as guys like the owner or the GM, that they don't want to do all that travel. The coach, they don't want to do those type of traveling things, so they probably wouldn't want that. But I think when you go out there and play, you want, like I told you before earlier in the show, you have to leave a lasting image on the personnel. And so that's what I think people would do. Ryan, so we had some big misses last week. Let's get into the running backs and what guys you expect to make some plays and gain some ground.
Okay, the running back position, my two top end guys are Devontae Freeman and D'Angelo Williams. Freeman has 47 carries his last 2 weeks. He scored 15-plus fantasy points in 3 of his last 4. And this is that game that I want to target, the high total in. The Saints' defense is just horrendous. Their defense is like, their offense shows up every game, but it's like their defense is almost non-existent. And then we'll go to D'Angelo Williams. He's got a great matchup against the Browns, giving up 120 yards per game. D'Angelo Williams had a monster week for us last week. And he's got 5 straight weeks of double-digit fantasy points, and they're playing in a must-win game. And then a guy that I don't think a lot of people are really going to be talking about, he's actually my value play this week, is Jeremy Hill. He's kind of been, non-existent this year, but he's had these flashes of good games. He's starting to get back that volume that he lost in the beginning of the year to Giovanni Bernard. So he's gotten at least 19 carries in 3 of his last 4 games. The Ravens have been getting gashed recently in the run game. And like I was talking about, he should really get the volume with the Bengals being a heavy favorite. I think it's close to 12 or 13 points.
Hey, what do you think about Jeremy Langford this week if Forte doesn't play?
Oh, he's in a great matchup against the Lions. He'll definitely be in a few of my lineups if Forte doesn't play. I think he knows that if he has another big game, they could allow Forte to leave and he'll take over that role. So I think it's a very important game for himself, and especially if Forte misses, I think it'll be a big opportunity that he will be wanting to take advantage of.
Now, do you think the Lions have a bad run defense? I thought they've been pretty stout the last couple of weeks.
Well, they have been pretty good, but it's definitely a team that doesn't scare you away. They're a team that you don't love, maybe a slower back, but Langford can do it all. As we saw, him he gashed. The Rams have a pretty good run defense earlier this year when he got that full workload, catch the ball in the backfield very fast, can get to the edge. So if Forte doesn't play, I definitely do like Langford this week.
I'm guessing he doesn't, but that's just a guess. Wide receiver, who are we targeting this week, Ryan?
Okay, so, talking about the Atlanta game, I love Julio Jones. We always target the Saints. He's got an outside chance, I think, of breaking the NFL record for most receptions this year. I know he's got like 120 plus or something like that. And then, a mid-tier guy at the price range is Brandon Cooks, becoming Breeze's favorite target. Saints, they struggle a little on the road, but they always play better in domes. Loving him for his price and, what Vegas says will be the highest scoring game of the weekend. I like Eric Decker again. He's Mr. Consistent for your cash games. He's going to give you the double-digit fantasy points, touchdown, 80-plus yards, things like that. I really like him. And kind of a flyer this week, a value play. We were on him a couple weeks ago, and he had a big game for us, Devontae Parker. He had 10 targets last game, had 93 yards, double-digit fantasy points in 3 of his last 4. And the Patriots were vulnerable, in the secondary with Ryan Fitzpatrick throwing for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns last week. So that's kind of my value play right there. And then I also love Antonio Brown this week. There's actually a plethora of the upper scale wide receivers that are all in great matchups. But Julio Jones and Antonio Brown would be the 2 that I target the most.
All right, tight ends, who you got?
So with my premium quarterback play this week is Cam Newton. I think he gets back on track this week against the Bucs. So I'll be stacking him with Greg Olsen. I mean, he's back being healthy. He's Cam's favorite. Red zone target. He's had another 1,000-yard season, 75 catches. I just see him getting the workload over the middle of the field, and like I said, that touchdown upside is something we like to target. A mid-tier guy that we're looking at is Zach Ertz. He's kind of been playing really, really well the last month or so. So he'll be my favorite stack this week with my cheap play with Sam Bradford. He's got double-digit fantasy points in 3 straight, and the Giants are giving up the second most points to tight ends this year.
Okay, and as we did last week, give us a guy in each category: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, that you're looking to avoid. Maybe you think they'll be highly owned, or the anticipated production is not going to turn out to be as good as you think it's going to be.
Okay. Well, first we'll start straight from the top. We'll look at quarterback. Russell Wilson. Last time playing at home against Arizona, he threw for under 50% completion, only had 1 touchdown. That Arizona defense is flying around. So at that price point, at the $8,200 on FanDuel, I'm gonna spend it differently. I would go, Blake Bortles or Carson Palmer right at that same point. So Russell Wilson, I do not think has a great matchup, but a lot of people are gonna be on him because he's played great the last month. And at running back, we'll fade. I actually got 2 at this position. First, we'll go with Doug Martin. He has a huge fumble problem this year. He's playing a top 5 run defense, and Sims continues to cut into his carries. I don't foresee the Bucs bringing him back, so I'm not sure if they feel any incentive to have him possibly get the rushing title. And a guy that's been really disappointing this year, or in the last 2 weeks, is Denard Robinson. He's been very underwhelming, tough matchup. I think Jonas Graves actually gets some carries too, so we'll be on both of those guys. And at the wide receiver position, someone that you guys were talking about earlier, as far as being somewhat of a bust, is Mike Evans. He has just 82 total receiving yards in 3 games against the Panthers in his career. And then at tight end, you guys touched on a little bit earlier in the show, is Jordan Reed. They have absolutely nothing to play for. I don't see much guys playing probably past the first half. So they're going to have a brutal matchup first in the playoffs. It'll probably either be the Vikings or the Packers. So
if I'm Gruden, I'm not playing Reed at all, Maurice. Are you even risking him at all this week?
No, not at all. I mean, he's been again. He's one of those guys that's healthy again and finally getting back. I'm not going to risk him getting hurt because he's been hurt a lot throughout his career. So you want to definitely make sure this guy is healthy enough to go out there and make plays.
All right, Ryan.
Okay, well, I mean, if he's not even going to play, we'll kind of flex it then. We'll go Gary Barnage. I don't know if Manziel's going to play. So we'll kind of throw him in there then. I love Barnes. He's probably my best pickup in my regular fantasy league. But so we'll put in Barnes if Jordan Reed doesn't really count since he.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying he won't play. I'm saying if it were up to me, he wouldn't play. They may play him the whole game, but I'd be shocked if he did. I think I agree with you as a whole.
I'm gonna throw a guy out there right now that I think people should look at, especially in what we're talking about. Was it daily
DFS? Go ahead.
DFS.
Go quick.
Aiken.
Kamar
Aiken. He torched Pittsburgh, and he's been doing well the last couple weeks.
He's been doing well for about 2 months now, really.
And it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. So
what do you think about him this week?
Yeah, I'm looking at him right now. No, he was actually someone I was looking at kind of for that mid tier, but I went with Eric Decker and Coach. No, Kamar Aiken is definitely on the list. I just don't love his matchup against the Bengals as much this week as far as maybe some of his other stuff. But I mean, I'm looking right here. I mean, he had double-digit points against Seattle, had over 100 yards and a touchdown against Kansas City. Yeah, I mean, I think he's more of a tournament play instead of a double-up. But you're right, Reese. He's been very, very productive this year.
All right, we got to wrap it up here, Ryan. Ryan Bauer, you can read him at rotogrinders.com for his weekly DFS blog, and you can check him out on Twitter as well at Bauer Power Plays, Bauer for Bauer. Bauer Power Plays on Twitter. Ryan, always appreciate it, man. We'll probably call on you from time to time, maybe in the postseason as well, although we are taking off next week. Nice job hopping on board with us over the course of the last month, and Happy New Year once again to you and yours.
Hey, thanks again, guys. I love this opportunity. Can't wait to do it again next year. Before I go, with Gurley being doubtful, I don't love Trey Mason, but I do see Tavon Austin maybe having a bigger role. So he could be a sneaky tournament play this week. But hey, thanks again, guys.
You got it, buddy. We'll throw Tavon Austin on the list. We got a break. We'll come back and wrap it up. It's Running with MJD on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio.